Hello and welcome to my channel, Magicsamart. Today I'll be discussing how I created this piece of traditional art called Change of Heart. It's done on paper with ballpoint pen, colored pencil, and watercolor. So before I get started on any drawing, I already have an idea in my head of what this drawing is going to look like. I've taken time to picture in my mind the details, the poses of the characters, how many characters there will be in this piece, what the themes are, how everything is going to look. I will have that picture in my head before I put pen to paper, and this helps me just get started on the drawing to already have an idea in my mind of how it's going to look. For me, drawing is like being a human printer. I have an idea in my mind of what I want to do, and I'm just putting it down on paper. As you can see, I'm starting out with specific construction lines, just outlining everything, getting an idea of where these characters will be in space so that I can later go in with detail. You'll see that I'm making some minor mistakes with these lines. That's all a normal part of the process, because as I move through the process of cross-hatching and adding detail, those mistakes will become incorporated into the art, and in the end product they will not be noticeable. So I'm continuing to cross-hatch here, adding a lot of texture and very fine detail. This takes a lot of time to do, so this footage is sped up by 20 times. I don't normally draw this slowly, but some pieces I choose to slow down by a great degree in my drawing so that I can add intense detail, small scale texture, things that you can't create if you're rushing through the drawing. To exemplify that, this is some real-time cross-hatching that I'm doing. You can see how slowly I move my hand and how precise the movements are when I'm drawing. Drawing just with pen on paper, no eraser, no pencil, can be intimidating to some people or stressful, but I find it to be a very productive method of drawing because you are only creating. You can't backtrack on what you just did. You are only making the art. You're not getting rid of it, starting over, and kind of shooting yourself in the foot. You're only moving forward. Any mistakes that you make, you can go back and readdress those, change something in the drawing to hide that mistake. And that was me stretching my hand, because drawing thousands of tiny marks in ballpoint pen will really hurt your hand after a few hours. This is a great time to remind you all that I am a small artist in a big world, so please follow my Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, or Tumblr, all at Magicsamart, to see more of my art. I post multiple times every week. Real art made by me, a human person with a real perspective on drawing. The cross-hatching was definitely the most time-consuming part of creating this piece, but I really enjoy small, repetitive details. These these characters are based on my next door neighbor. Yeah, she screams at her children a lot. And my thought was just that maybe if she had a replacement of her rotted heart, then maybe she would be a better person. So I represented her children performing her heart transplant. As you can see with this wing, I screwed up a lot of my initial lines. Well, I didn't screw them up, but I put them down, and then I had a better idea for where the feathers should be and how these wings should look. So it was pretty easy for me to go back in with a darker, more dense crosshatch to make the feathers appear how I wanted them to, and cover up those mistakes or miscalculated lines that I put down to begin with. And really, you can't tell that I made any mistake, because the mistakes became part of the final image. They're not mistakes, they're just part of how the path of drawing this picture played out. So I've really finished the majority of cross-hatching here, and I'm just migrating around the drawing, adding extra details that I think should be there. I'm looking at the drawing as a whole now, and I'm moving all around and just rendering further and adding details that I think should be there. The coloring will come soon enough. I'm still adding those final rendering touches here. I'm doing a lot of that. Now I've switched over to putting down a layer of this colored pencil. Typically, if you want a drawing to appear more rendered and finished, you need to go over it repeatedly with different layers of mediums and different types of materials. So I'm layering this colored pencil over the cross-hatched ink. That really gives it some more depth and interest. This footage is not sped up as much because the coloring process with colored pencil and watercolor is much faster than the highly detailed cross-hatching. My palette is very limited. I'm using pink and green. I like these colors because they're almost complementary. You can do a lot with just pink and green. I'm just continuing to build this layer of colored pencil. Now here we go with the watercolor. I use this watercolor over the pen and the colored pencil. I really like ballpoint pen because it does not bleed when you paint over it. It doesn't bleed at all. This layer of watercolor will really fill in any of the white spaces that are left in the colored pencil layer, and it will just enhance the richness of the color that I'm putting down. And it will make this piece look overall more finished. Now I'm coming back in with the colored pencil. It's okay to put down many layers of different mediums because it's only going to make your piece look more developed and more rendered out. We're almost done. Always sign your name, guys. Here's the final product. Thank you so much for watching my speed paint. I really appreciate it. Please just give a like if you liked what you saw. Bye.